What if your purpose was never something you had to chase, achieve, or prove? What if it was something already written into your very being, waiting not to be discovered, but to be recognized? Ibn Arabi teaches us that purpose is not an external destination, it is an inner unveiling. Most people spend their lives searching for meaning as if it were hidden somewhere in the future. But for Ibn Arabi, the question is not what should I become? It is what is being revealed through me right now. According to Ibn Arabi, every soul is a unique mirror in which one of God's names seeks manifestation. Your purpose, then, is not to imitate another path, nor to copy another destiny. It is to allow the specific divine quality entrusted to you to appear in the world, just as no two reflections in water are the same, no two purposes are identical. Confusion arises only when we compare our unfolding with someone else's. He reminds us that restlessness often comes from resistance. When the soul resists its own nature, life feels heavy and directionless. But when the soul aligns with what it was created to reflect, action becomes effortless. Purpose stops feeling like pressure and begins to feel like flow. Ibn Arabi also challenges the modern obsession with labels: career, status, success. He teaches that purpose is not a role you perform, but a state you inhabit. A person may be a teacher, a merchant, or a laborer, yet inwardly be fulfilling the same purpose, embodying mercy, wisdom, patience, or truth. What matters is not what you do, but from where you do it. In his vision, God continuously creates the world in every moment. This means your purpose is not fixed once and for all. It renews itself as you deepen in awareness. Each moment asks a different response. Sometimes your purpose is to speak, sometimes it is to remain silent, sometimes it is to act, and sometimes to surrender. Purpose is alive, not static. Perhaps the most liberating lesson Ibn Arabi offers is this: you do not need to become extraordinary to be meaningful. You are already meaningful because existence itself chose you as a place of appearance. When you stop forcing meaning and begin listening, life reveals why you are here, not as a sentence to memorize, but as a truth to live. Purpose, then, is not found by running faster. It is found by seeing clearly, and when you see clearly, even the smallest act becomes filled with the weight of eternity. Ibn Arabi teaches that your purpose is not something you earn through struggle, comparison, or recognition. It is something already woven into your existence before you ever chose a path. In his metaphysical vision, every being is created as a unique locus of manifestation, a place where one specific divine quality seeks to appear in the world. Just as no two faces are identical, no two purposes are the same, because no two souls mirror the real in the same way. Purpose, then, is not an achievement added to your life. It is the reason your life appears at all. Modern thinking often frames purpose as a goal to be reached, a career, a mission, a contribution that must be proven. Ibn Arabi dissolves this anxiety by shifting the question entirely. He does not ask, "What have you accomplished?" but "What is being revealed through you?" This subtle change transforms purpose from pressure into responsibility. You are not asked to become someone else, nor to live up to an external image of success. You are asked to allow what you already carry to come into expression. He explains that every soul reflects one or more of the divine names: mercy, wisdom, patience, justice, creativity, generosity. When a person lives in harmony with that inner reflection, life feels aligned, even when it is difficult. When a person resists it, confusion and dissatisfaction arise, no matter how impressive their outer achievements appear. This is why some people feel empty at the height of success, while others feel fulfilled in lives that seem ordinary. Purpose is not measured by scale, it is measured by congruence, imitation. According to Ibn Arabi, is one of the greatest veils over purpose. When you try to copy another person's path, you silence your own voice. You may achieve similar results, but the inner resonance will be missing. The soul knows when it is acting as a substitute rather than an origin. True purpose carries a sense of inevitability, as if the action could not have come from anyone else. In the same way, This does not mean purpose is always dramatic or visible. Ibn Arabi reminds us that God is as present in the hidden as in the apparent. A quiet life can fulfill purpose as deeply as a public one. What matters is whether the divine quality entrusted to you is being honored or suppressed. A person embodying compassion in a small circle may be closer to their purpose than someone influencing millions without inner truth. He also challenges the idea that purpose must feel comfortable. Sometimes the divine name-seeking expression through a person brings them into tension with the world. A soul reflecting truth may experience rejection. A soul reflecting justice may encounter conflict. Discomfort does not mean misalignment. Often it is the very sign of authenticity. Purpose is not designed to protect the ego, but to reveal the real. Another key insight Ibn Arabi offers is that purpose is discovered through awareness, not force. The more you listen inwardly, the clearer your direction becomes. Purpose is not shouted, it is whispered. It appears in what consistently draws you, what moves you beyond self-interest, what feels meaningful even when no one is watching. These are not random inclinations, but signals of what seeks expression through you. When people say they feel lost, Ibn Arabi would say they are not lost in direction, but in attention. They are looking outward for permission instead of inward for recognition. Purpose does not arrive as a sudden announcement. It unfolds as understanding deepens. Each act done with sincerity polishes the mirror further, allowing the reflection to become clearer. Ultimately, Ibn Arabi's vision frees purpose from competition and comparison. There is no hierarchy of meanings, only different. Ibn Arabi invites us to look at purpose in a way that quietly dismantles how we usually define meaning. In most modern thinking, purpose is tied to what a person does, their profession, their title, their productivity, or the role they play in society. Identity becomes fused with function. When that function is lost or questioned, the sense of purpose collapses with it. Ibn Arabi challenges this from its very root by teaching that purpose does not belong to the outer role at all, but to the inner state from which action rises. According to him, the same action can carry entirely different realities depending on the heart that performs it. Two people may pray the same prayer, speak the same words, or perform the same work, yet one action may be alive, while the other is hollow. Purpose is not stamped onto an act from the outside. It flows into it from the inside. What gives weight to an action is not its visibility, but the quality of presence behind it. Without presence, action becomes repetition. With presence, even the smallest act becomes revelation. Ibn Arabi emphasizes that the world is a theater of forms. All meaning resides in the unseen. Roles belong to the world of forms. States belong to the world of truth. When a person mistakes form for meaning, they begin to believe that changing their role will change their purpose. They search for fulfillment by switching careers, chasing recognition, or adopting new identities. But the inner restlessness remains, because the source of emptiness was never the role itself, it was the absence of awareness within it. In his vision, a merchant may be closer to God than a scholar, and a laborer more aligned than a preacher, not because of what they do, but because of how they are inwardly present while doing it. Purpose, then, is not measured by spiritual appearance, it is measured by alignment. When inner state and outer action are in harmony, purpose is being lived, regardless of how ordinary the action appears. This teaching also frees the seeker from the burden of comparison. When purpose is defined by role, comparison becomes inevitable. One life appears more meaningful than another because it looks more influential, more visible, or more admired. Ibn Arabi dissolves this hierarchy by shifting the focus from external impact to internal truth. A hidden life lived with sincerity may fulfill its purpose more fully than a celebrated life lived in distraction. Meaning is not democratic, it is intimate. Another profound implication of this teaching is that purpose cannot be postponed. If purpose were tied only to achieving a certain role or status, then life before that achievement would feel like waiting. Ibn Arabi shows that purpose is available in every moment. Because inner state is always accessible, Whether one is succeeding or failing outwardly, the opportunity to be present, sincere, and aligned never disappears. Purpose does not begin after arrival, it exists in the quality of. Ibn Arabi's understanding of purpose rests on a radical vision of reality. Creation is not something that happened once in the past, but something that is continuously unfolding in every single moment. God, in His view, is always creating anew, revealing existence again and again without repetition. If creation itself is renewed at every instant, then purpose cannot be frozen into a single definition or reduced to one lifelong mission. Purpose, like creation, is alive, fluid, and responsive to the present moment. This perspective overturns the anxiety many people carry about finding their purpose as if it were a hidden object waiting somewhere in the future. Ibn Arabi teaches that purpose is not something you finally arrive at, it is something you participate in moment by moment. Each instant comes with its own demand, its own truth, and its own invitation. To live with purpose is to meet the needs of the moment with awareness, rather than clinging to a fixed image of who you think you are meant to be. In this vision, yesterday's purpose does not guarantee today's alignment. What was required of you in one stage of life may no longer be what truth asks of you now. Holding tightly to an old role, identity, or spiritual self-image can actually become a barrier to purpose. Ibn Arabi warns that attachment to past unveilings can prevent fresh ones. The soul must remain flexible, available, and receptive, allowing purpose to renew itself as life unfolds. This does not mean that life lacks coherence or direction. On the contrary, Ibn Arabi sees a deep intelligence guiding each moment, but this intelligence reveals itself dynamically, not as a rigid script. Purpose is discovered through attentiveness. When awareness is sharp, the next step becomes clear. When awareness dulls, confusion arises, not because purpose has vanished, but because listening has weakened. One of the most liberating aspects of this teaching is that it removes the fear of missing your purpose. If purpose were a single, irreversible path, then one wrong choice could ruin everything. Ibn Arabi dissolves this fear by showing that purpose is always present in the now. Even mistakes, detours, and failures become part of the unfolding. When they are met with consciousness, nothing is wasted when awareness is alive. This understanding also reshapes how success and failure are viewed. Success is no longer defined by long-term outcomes, and failure is no longer a verdict on one's worth. What matters is the sincerity of response in the present moment. Sometimes purpose calls for action, and sometimes it calls for restraint. Sometimes it calls for strength, and sometimes for vulnerability. The form changes, but the essence remains responsiveness to truth as it appears now. Ibn Arabi often emphasizes that the human being is a place of manifestation. What manifests through you today may not be what manifested yesterday. Just as the divine names reveal themselves in countless forms, purpose expresses itself through countless moments. Trying to force continuity where life asks for change creates inner friction. Purpose flows where there is surrender to renewal. This teaching invites a profound trust in the unfolding of life. Instead of asking, "What is my purpose in life?" Ibn Arabi encourages a subtler question: "What is life asking of me right now?" In that question, purpose becomes immediate, intimate, and practical. It no longer belongs to abstraction, but to lived experience. When a person lives this way, purpose stops being a source of pressure and becomes a source of presence. Life is no longer a race toward a final meaning, but a series of meaningful moments, each complete in itself. In responding fully to the present, the soul fulfills its purpose again and again, without ever needing to name it.